I would actually end up in profit by about $11,230. Welcome back to the channel. This is Anthony, and today we're going to be discussing my purchase of a 2021 Tesla Model 3 and how it overall added to my net worth in the last year of ownership. So we're pretty close to a year of ownership now. We're about 11 months and 2 weeks in. And I decided that I should go over all of the finances again just to see how this whole supply chain and chip shortage issue has affected the car's value in the last year. So sit back, enjoy, and let me do all of the numbers. So just for a little bit of backstory, at 23 years old, I decided that after driving the same car for 7 to 8 years straight, that it was time for an upgrade. And my first car was a 2000 Ford Mustang that I purchased at 16 years old for $5,000 in cash. And the reason I was able to purchase this car in cash was because I saved about 90% of my income from the time I was 14 to the age of 16 from my first job, which was actually a paper route at that time. And that job was about 30 minutes a day, 365 days a year. And of course, at that time, paper routes were a little bit more of a lucrative business. Nonetheless, after 7 to 8 years of beating that car into the ground, I ended up deciding to get a more safe, reliable, and just overall fun adventure car as I was starting to venture out to different states. And I didn't feel safe driving that Mustang such long distances anymore.
That is happening right now.
And over that 7 to 8 year period, I still managed to save about 80 to 90% of my income while living frugally with my parents. I would eat pork because it's the cheapest of all meats, rice because it's fun to eat 1 million of something.
I like rice. Rice is great when you're hungry and you want 2,000 of something.
And even the cliche ramen noodles in college, even though I wasn't in college. So we get to the age of 21 and I get to the status of obsessed Tesla fanboy fanatic. If you don't believe me, just look at my Twitter profile for proof. At that time, by looking at all the options, I ended up deciding that the Tesla was definitely going to be my next vehicle. So a little bit of time went by, and then we got hit by the Rona. So that ended up putting everyone through a loop, and me, who was living at New York at the time, ended up putting me in a stalemate for the next 6 months. And believe me, during that time, I spec'd out thousands of options for the Model 3, the Model X, even looking at the Roadster, even though it was nowhere near my price range. But I'm pretty sure we all do that. So around April of 2021, actually on Easter Day, I decided to pull the trigger and finally purchase the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus. And I guess this was one of the only times that I timed the market perfectly, as I was somehow able to get a purchase price of $37,490, which is almost $10,000 less than the current price of the vehicle today. So with all of that considered, I put my $100 deposit down, and then I waited. So some of you may already know where I'm going with all of this. And since that day that I purchased, there have been at least 10 to 15 price adjustments on all Tesla vehicles. And the price adjustments were pretty much due to chip shortages, supply chain issues, and overall high demand for that vehicle. And it's pretty much put a wrench in the whole vehicle manufacturing and delivery process. Also, with inflation hitting highs close to 8% and impending World War III doom, one might assume that there would be ripple effects throughout all markets. So let's go over 4 reasons why my net worth has actually increased in the last year of owning my Tesla. So number 1 is appreciation. Number 2 are state incentives. Number 3 is overall fuel costs. And number 4 are miscellaneous EV incentive programs. So like we said, 12 months have gone by since I purchased this car for about $37,000. If you bought new right now from Tesla, it would run you about $46,990 at the time of this recording. However, it doesn't actually stop there. And with all of the issues going on in the world right now, the used car market has absolutely exploded. So yes, the prices of vehicles have been appreciating, not appreciated, but appreciating in value. I noticed that cars that were being sold for $2,000 a year ago are easily being sold for 3x the price today. Take my first car, the 2000 Mustang, for example. Last year, I could have purchased that same car for about $1,500 to $2,500. And today, I could find the same car between $5,000 and $8,000, which is even more than when I purchased back in 2014. As for the car I'm sitting in right now, the Tesla, here are some pictures that I quickly found online of people selling the same car with similar mileage for all around $50K, which is technically about $13,000 more than when I purchased the car a year ago. So state incentives are actually pretty straightforward. This is basically money that you get back just by purchasing a clean vehicle. So the maximum rebate for New York's incentive program was $2,000 if the total purchase price of the electric vehicle was at least $42,000 or less, and for the range to be at or exceed 200 miles. But when I purchased for $37K, I was able to take the full benefit of this incentive, which was pretty seamless. Tesla took off the 2000K right off the purchase price while ordering. Beloved fuel costs. So yes, I don't have to beat a dead horse. We already know that gas and oil prices have been skyrocketing over the last few months. And it seems like the ranges between $4 and $8 for a gallon of gas is the norm, as the supply of oil and gas is heavily outweighed by the total demand globally, mainly due to some more supply chain issues as well as war sanctions. So to factor in the savings for fuel, I'll take into account my total miles driven and compare it to what I would have paid if I was paying for gas instead. So far I've driven about 13,000 miles in the last year, which has costed me about $780 worth of charging, if you use 25 cents a kilowatt, as I've been mainly only using the supercharger network. And using $4 a gallon to be conservative would have cost me about $2,000 over the same year. So that's essentially $1,220 that I saved this year just by going electric. And last but not least, though a little bit small, I thought it was important to mention as I got a little bit of value from miscellaneous third-party EV incentives. Namely one which was Smart Charge by Con Edison in New York. This was a means to alleviate the stress on the grid when people were pulling the most amount of electric during peak hours. This program incentivized you to charge during off-peak times while giving you rebates for doing so. And just by being a member and signing up for the program, you got about $5 every single month, which is equal to about 100 miles worth of range. And of course, you guys already know I love my sign-up bonuses. Just by being a new member and signing up and charging just one time in the Con Edison service area, I was granted about $180 as a sign-up bonus, which even if it was a little bit small, it really didn't take much time to set up whatsoever. So in conclusion, and let's put all these numbers together and wrap it all up. So back to the beginning, I paid $37,490 for this car. I had to pay a $1,200 destination and dock fee. Sales tax on this car was about $3,500 in total, and I spent about $780 on fuel. But on the flip side, I got a state rebate of about $2,000 from New York State. The fuel costs alone saved me about $1,220 by switching to electric, and another $200 of savings by using the Smart Charge incentive programs. And then let's not forget the most important factor, which is appreciation. And if I'm being really generous with myself, let's say I could sell this car for about $50K on the used car market. And you could see that after subtracting $50,000 by $38,770, I would actually end up in profit by about $11,230. Now, of course, I didn't factor in maintenance, as I actually have done nothing so far to maintain the car. Knock on wood. But I think it's pretty awesome to think that I've been able to drive this amazing and awesome car for the last year for essentially free, and if I decided to sell, I would actually make a profit on it. And of course, with all of this in mind, I don't have rose-colored glasses on, and I understand that the used car market and supply chain issues can alleviate, and the prices can start to shrink and go back to normal, so this video will be time-tested. But regardless, I don't intend on selling this car anytime soon, as it's given me tremendous value over the last year so far. And honestly, I don't know if I would have driven or road tripped as much as I have in the last year if I didn't have autopilot. It's honestly a game changer. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you have similar stories, or even if you have other topics that you want me to venture into in the future. But with that said, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.